Hey everybody, Chris here from Tiny Home Tours. The next couple weeks we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to do a new video every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So after that initial video, we're going to upload an extended version of that video. There's a lot of people on the channel, after asking questions in the community tab here on YouTube, that want videos anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes long. 15 minutes seems to be the sweet spot, but there is a majority of people that want the longer version. Also, people were mentioning that they were interested in having a new video every day. The upload schedule will be Wednesday new video, extended version Thursday, new video Friday, extended version Saturday, new video Sunday, extended version Monday, which leaves Tuesday open. And my question for this particular video is, if I uploaded a video about my life in my school bus, how I make money on the road, where I find places to park, health insurance, just how I live life on the road, maybe a 5 to 10 minute long video, would you be interested in watching that? Would you be interested in learning about my life on the road, or just leave Tuesday blank? Just trying to get your input on that. So like I said, we're going to try this for a couple weeks. I'm very intrigued to see how this goes. Any feedback, please leave it in the comments down below. I do read every single comment that comes through the channel. So I appreciate all of you for watching. I hope you enjoy this extended version of Erica and Raymond, and we will catch you Friday.
My name's Erica Kessler-Eisen, and this is my husband Raymond. And we built this beautiful 26.5-foot tiny house on wheels. We spent about 5 years in total working on our project. It was a labor of love. Spent about 2.5 years planning, 2.5 years building, and we've been living in it for a year now. We are currently parked in Loch Buoy, Colorado. However, we will be moving over to the western slope here in a couple of weeks and enjoy being mountain people for a little while. So Ray and I are kind of used to always living in not necessarily small spaces, but just kind of weird spaces. We lived in a typical apartment for a while, downsized from that 1,200 square foot space to 600 square foot house. And then after that moved into my parents' house for a brief stint before we moved to Northeast England. That situation was kind of weird. We were actually homeless for about 3 weeks. Yeah. And then we ended up moving into a semi-detached house, which is the end of one of the row houses they have out there. And we're very thankful that we were able to have our own space out there for a while. And then moving back into my parents' house when we returned to the States, and then various roommate situations after that. So we knew we wanted to have our own home, but the Denver housing market is kind of a mess, and it's getting more and more expensive, and the idea of being able to have a home where we could keep everything we needed and wanted and could take anywhere with us was very appealing.
We're both nomadic at heart, so it made sense to do something that could travel with us. No matter where we go, the house stays the same, but the view is different, which is great. So one of the best features of the house was this. It was a must-have when we built the house. We had to have a Dutch door. This is excellent for the dogs. They can run around and do their thing and then stay outside, and we still get that breeze, or they stay inside on the nice rainy days, but I still want to kind of get a breeze going through the house. So let's go on in. Welcome to our home, Das kleine Haus. That is German for the little house. This is, you walk in, you come into the kitchen. So we're both kind of tall individuals, and we wanted tall countertops. I worked in the kitchens for a while, and I was tired of always bending over and messing with it. So we went nice and high. These are 40-inch countertops. They are epoxy, but made to look like concrete. They're rather beautiful. They were really fun to pour. The countertops are, like I said, epoxy, made to look like concrete. So the way it works is we have MDF board as the base. We have some supports running along. And then you do a real nice skim coat to knock off any air that might be in there. And then after that, you get a color, which is this nice deep gray. You mix it up, pour it across the countertop, and then you just spread it out with like a squeegee. That's why we get the nice waterfalls off the edge. You just let it run. I really loved how that looked. After a while, once it kind of cures, you get these spray bottles with some coloration, and you just add to it. It's basically just like a giant art mural, and you get to do whatever you want with it. It came out really cool with these bubbles. Whenever the colorant hit, it just created these divots. But I loved the way it came out. And then when it finishes, it comes out real shiny. We didn't want the shiny. Shiny scratches. Shiny is just bad overall for what we wanted. With the nice matte finish, that gives us that concrete look. It doesn't feel like concrete, unfortunately, but it looks like it. We had a lot of time at the Colorado Tiny House Fest. People would walk through and be like, "Is this concrete?" And we're like, "No, no, it is not." What? And the nice thing about epoxy is it is extremely lightweight. Compared to concrete, this would have weighed, God, several hundred pounds easy. I mean, if you're pouring that thick, it probably weighs 10 pounds, the entire countertop. So, real lightweight, real sturdy, very durable. It does scratch fairly easy, which is one downside to the epoxy, but because we went with the matte finish, it buffs right out and you would never know they were there. So, as we walk through the kitchen, obviously, plate storage. We have some ukuleles. We actually don't know how to play them, which is unfortunate. But this one is my favorite. This is our prized possession. Nice cigar box guitar, right? It's full of tiny little things, and it's autographed by Tenacious D. So we won it in a raffle from one of our favorite brewery, Wits End, and it just now hangs on my wall because it's pretty. As we come through, we got the Berkey because we never know exactly where we're going to get our water from. Currently, we get water from a well, which works wonderful. It's drinkable, but well water has a tendency to smell, and this takes out all those smells we have. And then as we're traveling and go to new places, we may not always know where we can get water, but I always know I can drink it. Berkey had a really good reputation. We had some friends who had it, and we knew that they liked it. We had talked to them about it. They said, "Hey, this thing is amazing." Tiny House Twin Travels was the individuals who first introduced us to it. And we were like, "Oh yeah." So when it looked into it, they're real pricey, but for how they work, they're amazing. They do their job perfectly. Nothing gets past the Berkey. So you walk through, we have a giant kitchen sink. The nice thing about this is this is multi-purpose. So we have a drying rack that rolls right out. You still have access to half the sink that you can use while your dishes dry, which is really nice. And then that just tucks away. It's out of the way. It's a super unique sink. I don't see a whole lot of these now. I didn't see a whole lot of these before we bought it. Once we bought it, I've seen it everywhere, and that might be the whole, hey, I know what it is now, I know what I'm looking for sort of thing. But this is from a company called Syncology. Syncology is from the US, I believe. This was actually hand-hammered in India. It's solid copper. It's called a living sink because as it ages, it patinas. So you get the greens, you get those grays, you get all those different colors that mold into it as it grows and ages. And I think it's gorgeous. We kind of have that copper theme running throughout. We got a copper roof, the sink, and a few other copper things you see as we go through the house. Well, since we're in the kitchen and you've just seen our giant copper sink, we also have a nice table. So this is a really cool thing that we had to have. We do often use the countertop as a bar. We'll stand and eat at it. We'll stand and do work. But sometimes we want to sit on the couch, play a board game, sit down and actually eat our food. So we have this thing. This is actually my wife's Erica's grandfather's table, made in Poland, goodness knows how long ago. But it's got two leaves that fold up. So I mean it doubles in size from that. Folds down. And then inside the compartment here, and it is on wheels for easy movement, it slides right open, we have 4 extra chairs. So we have tons of extra seating if anybody needs it. We use this table pretty much almost daily. We sit on it to eat dinner a lot. It's really easy to roll out. You just flip up the thing. Whoever sits on the couch is unfortunately kind of stuck in that spot because it does take up the entire living room. But it's a wonderful table to have. So, and then we have our cabinets. My dad actually built these cabinets for us. The idea wasn't to have open storage. I don't mind it. I actually kind of like it. Eventually we're planning to put some doors and that sort of thing on it. But it's just a nice big open space. These are 24 inches deep with lots of space in there to fit just about anything we would need. When we were designing our house, we designed our house around the windows. So in the design phase, we went through and it's like, all right, we had all the windows picked out and kind of went, this is what we want, this is how we'll make it work. One thing for us is we wanted lots of light in the kitchen. Walk into a lot of tiny houses that have really small, kind of dark kitchens. That wasn't for us. We spend a lot of time cooking. We'll like to cook. So now we have this giant 6-foot window that is our entire kitchen wall. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love just watching the dogs play, when we're at the fest, watching people outside, all of that. Must have for us. Also, then I don't need lights. As you come through, we got a Suburban propane range. This thing is wonderful. We got one front, 2 in the back. It's a 21-inch, nice big large oven. We found the propane oven can be a little finicky, but we've figured out how to make it work for us. Instant pot. No tiny household should be without this. This thing is amazing. This is the smaller one. This is a 3-quart Instant Pot. It's perfect. It cooks eggs, beans, chicken. We've made chili, salsa, all sorts of random things in it that we would need and want. And then it frees up the stove to do whatever we need to do with it. Storage, we have all our silverware, knives, using that wall space and vertical space as much as we can to put things away, because we don't have upper cabinets, so we had to find another way to make it work. This wall is actually an old wine barrel that we then cut up into 4-inch squares and tiled together. It's called cobblestoning. Look didn't kind of come out the way we wanted. Who knew wooden barrel slats were not even in square? So it kind of made it a kind of a pain to put it up, but we made it work. I still like it. So we have a little pantry here. It's not too big, but it works for us. We're only 2 individuals. We don't have any kids. It works for us. There's a light here to see what you want to do. This is our nice little cart. Pulls right out. Access to both sides, whatever we need. This holds a lot of individual things. Storage and cleaning supplies store right under that and on the side of the fridge. Storage, spices, oatmeal, all of that lives on that wall. So close that. And then we have a apartment style fridge. This is a 9.9 cubic foot fridge, give or take, I don't remember exactly. But the best thing about it is it's a bottom freezer. That was also a must-have thing. We're big on storing things, so we can fit a lot in that drawer that you couldn't fit if you had shelves. And we put it on a little platform. We're both tall, like I said. We got the big countertops. I didn't want to always bend down every time I got into that freezer. I wanted to be up, high, easy to get to. I don't need anything. The fridge, when you open it, boom, everything's right there, good to go. So this fridge in particular works great for the 2 of us. My only complaint about it is beverage storage. We like our soda waters. At the time we were building, I worked for Colorado Cider Company. So we just had a nice supply of cider all the time. Nothing ever fit. But for food storage, it works perfect. So to compensate that, I built a cooler in the shed outside, which I'll show you later. And then we come over here. This is our beverage bar. This is probably my favorite place in the house. We have some spice racks here on the fridge. Like I said, we don't have upper cabinets, so we needed a place to store them. And then we have this. This is the one upper cabinet we have. Wonderful IKEA purchase. Keeps all of our coffee, teas, mugs, all those things up to the side. We do have our Chemex, and like one of the best things is when you build your own house, you can put in exactly what you want. So I put in a beer tap. What I wanted, made it work. And then underneath that, we do our trash and our laundry storage because, well, it's one of those things everybody has. All right, and then we move into the bathroom. This is our bathroom. We've been in quite a few tiny houses where you walk into a bathroom and it feels spacious. I've been in a few that are almost as big as my bedroom upstairs. Completely unnecessary for 2 of us. So when we built our bathroom, we literally just had our toilet and a shower, and that's it. These are about 30 inches by 7'4" is about all interior width. It's a perfect size. Wouldn't do anything different. The bathroom here, we have epoxy walls, which is awesome. Nice waterproof surface. Seals it up. Looks wonderful again with that copper theme. And then we have some exposed piping in the shower as well. I was going to school at the time we were building the house for mechanical trades, and that covered everything from plumbing, carpentry, electrical, HVAC, everything. And that's the skills I learned to build the house. And then part of those classes was soldering. And I love soldering. So I figured I'd just build a shower since I couldn't find one to fit my space. And then this side we got our nature's head with our little squatty potty. And then an access hatch into the mech room. The mechanical room's where I store everything, and we'll show you that later. And then some storage behind us with a fan. The nature's head's great. I really like the nature's head. It doesn't smell. It doesn't have any issues. The only complaint about it is that we haven't done the gray water urine reroute. So if you're really tired in the morning but forgot to empty it the night before, you can overflow it. And we did that a few times moving into it. It's a real steep learning curve. Clean up a few urine messes, 7 o'clock in the morning, you learn not to do it. This is a heated towel rack. We lived in England for a year, and we happened to come across them. I was like, man, heated towel racks are amazing. Then when we got back and we started building the house, I found one at Habitat for Humanity. And I was like, man, I have to have this. So sure enough, instead of a sink in our bathroom, we went with the heated towel rack because it made more sense. This was a labor of love. We went through about $56 and some change of pennies. Just randomly pennies collected from family, friends, what we had on hand, whatever we could find for pennies to make it work. Gorgeous. We thought about doing like a Where's Waldo of, hey, find this penny in the floor. There's a gold penny in there somewhere. There's a few really cool unique back pennies that we got. And then we just poured epoxy over it. I loved epoxy so much. It was so lightweight and versatile. I used it for my countertop, my walls, and the penny floor. And then we have a window and a plant, because you got to have a window in the bathroom. If you didn't have the window, it'd feel a lot tighter than it really is. So I kind of needed that as we were designing the process.
So this is what we lovingly refer to as the great room. So this is the front of the house, the front door. So this is what you walk into when you first enter the home. So the other end is the kitchen and the bathroom. So this is where what's essentially used as our living room / dining room. So just next to the door we have our TV and our entertainment center that we've built in. Nice big TV that lays flat and locks for when we travel, so it's nice we don't have to take it down. And then underneath we've got TV antenna, all of my husband's video games, Xbox and all that. And then he also has a Raspberry Pi, which is kind of the perfect tiny house gaming system. It's got thousands of vintage video games on it. The sound bar is also really nice to have. It is a Bluetooth sound bar that we use for the TV and also for our record player, which I'll show you here shortly. And then we have our nice bin with all of our records in it that we swap out, and then just some other little kinds of fun storage under here. And then on this side, on the other side of the door, we have all the shoe storage. I was actually inspired by Alexis and Christian with Tiny House Expedition. Theirs is a little bit narrower, but we have the space to fill, so we just got some stair treads and stuck those up here. There's room underneath for rain boots and all that kind of stuff, snow boots, and keys and all that kind of stuff. We just kind of throw here, so when you first come in, take shoes off and you're on a roll. And then on this side we have our built-in L couch with lots of storage underneath. It's a little bit messy at the moment, but we've got some nice big bins that have camera equipment, hammocks, other odds and ends that need stored. In this one I keep all kinds of crafting supplies. I have a sewing machine in there, that kind of stuff, and it's really easily accessible. And then on this side we actually have an ottoman that pulls out. If we don't want to pull the whole table out, the tops flip over and turn into trays, so we can use it for, you know, snacks or drinks or any of that. But it's actually full of board games. We like to invite people over and have game nights. This is definitely the main spot of the house. We really like to sit and relax, not necessarily watch TV, but because it's so open in this space, we do have the high ceilings. We really like to sit here, and you don't feel claustrophobic at all in this space. We have the option to sit on the couch and relax, or we can even string a couple hammocks in here if we want to. There's a spot behind the TV that links up into this corner, or we can actually attach between the lofts as well, which is nice with the two big windows. If it's kind of stormy and gross out, you can't relax in your hammock outside, you can relax on it inside. So as Ray mentioned, our house really was designed around the windows. Those were some of the first things that we bought for the home. And we knew that we really wanted to have a lot of light, very open, and so it wasn't just a lot of windows, it was a lot of big windows. So as Ray mentioned, we have the big one in the kitchen. We wanted to have the two big windows opposite of each other so that you almost felt like you were outside. The skylight was definitely a must-have to bring in the light kind of in downwards. The way it hits inside here is really beautiful. And then the ceiling itself is actually, funny enough, my sister-in-law's neighbor's fence that blew down in a storm. He ended up selling the wood for, you know, a few bucks, so we ended up picking that up and repurposing it. We did do the shosugiban on it just to give it a little bit more texture, and it did match the original cedar siding outside, which we have since changed due to the weather in Lochbuie, Colorado. But it actually turned out really nice, I think. So on the tail end of the trailer, we do have a small loft. It is large enough to fit a twin-size bed, but since it is just two of us living here, we are currently using it as storage. It will eventually become an office or kind of a reading nook area once we figure out some of our other storage options for underneath the trailer. But for now, it works really well, just to kind of throw some of our Rubbermaid bins and all that up there. We do have just a cheap rope ladder at the moment that connects from here down underneath the couch to be able to get up and down. We have found though that rope ladder is not quite taut enough, so it's a little bit unsafe. Once we start using that space a little bit more, we are going to transition to more of a stair ladder. That's a little bit easier to get up and down from there. And then on this side we have our Colorado Rapids longboard, which was traded with a friend of ours. We also have the world's smallest fully mechanical cuckoo clock, which we felt was appropriate for a German-themed tiny house. And then above that is our mini split. It is a Gree brand mini split. It's 12,000 BTUs. This whole space is 290 square feet, and we find that it actually works very, very well. For air conditioning, it cools down pretty easily. It does heat up very easily as well. We find that when it is extremely cold, it does struggle to keep up a little bit. This last February, we had a cold stint where we were in the negatives for several days in a row. And you could tell it was kind of struggling to keep up with everything. But we do have spray foam insulation in here, and it did retain the heat that it was putting out very well. We do have a secondary heating source in the form of just a tower heater for the opposite side of the trailer, just to kind of help it out a little bit, but we were never uncomfortable at any point. So in designing our tiny house, we definitely knew we needed a lot of storage. We're not minimalists by any means, so we put a lot of thought into where we wanted to be able to keep certain things. And where things ultimately got placed was really figured out after we moved into the tiny house, but we knew that the options to put things were definitely there. They were already built in for us. So we knew when we were designing the stairs, they definitely needed to be storage stairs. So on the very top, like I promised, I would show you where our record player is. So it's a Bluetooth record player. We keep it plugged in here. You can swap out, and then it slides back in. So it's nice and secure there. And then just a couple other random shelves. We keep things like Tupperware containers and empty mason jars, things like that in these. Down here on the bottom, we have a nice big space for our two little dogs that we have here. We keep a bed, and actually on the wall here is where the wheel well is, so it creates a nice little shelf to put their treats and their dog food and toys and all that good stuff as well. And then just additional dog stuff and unorganized storage currently under here. At the first step, the platform kind of area, there is also a nice big storage spot here. This actually pulls all the way out. And we keep a bunch of different stuff under there. And then going up the stairs to the bedroom loft, just on this wall above the kitchen, we've just got some box storage from IKEA. This was a very blank space, so why not use that space for storage as well. So we put different knickknacks and books and things like that on display up here, along with some of our plants, because every tiny home needs lots of plants. This is our bedroom loft. So it's approximately 13 feet deep from when you enter, which is actually a little bit longer than the downstairs portion of the house, and we'll explain why here in just a second. But we fit a queen bed in here very comfortably. At the very end, we have a built-in headboard, so the top part of that will actually lift up. We keep extra blankets, winter clothes, all that kind of stuff in there. And then there's a little bit of storage on each side where we also are able to plug in all of our devices and things like that at the end of the day. So we've always only ever had a queen size bed, and it's very comfortable for us. A full size bed is just a little too tight. You can definitely fit a king. You could even fit a California king in this space. However, the loft would be all bed if we did that. So we felt like a queen was comfortable. You're able to kind of move around. One struggle that a lot of tiny housers have in loft bedrooms is making the bed. So having a little bit of space on either side makes that just a little bit easier to do. We have an IKEA brand mattress, really only because at the time that we needed a new mattress, that was the only one I could afford. It works all right. I personally prefer something a little bit softer. Ray prefers something a little bit firmer, so it's kind of just a little bit uncomfortable for both of us. So behind where those IKEA cubes were that I just showed you, in the bedroom loft, it's actually kind of a large box for storage. Originally, the plan was to use some of the large black bins like we have underneath our couch to store all of our clothes. But we found after we moved in, it wasn't quite working out, especially for things like myself. I have some dresses and stuff like that that weren't storing very well in there. So we did end up having to add in some hanging storage, which actually works out very well. So we hang all of our t-shirts and all that, and then of course we have the pants hangers as well, so it keeps everything looking a little bit nicer. It doesn't get as wrinkled. But we do keep some smaller bins under there for socks, little things like that. But because it was a decent sized space, we ended up cramming a dog bed in there, so the dogs can come up here and they'll lay in there for a while before they eventually end up in our bed. But it does create a nice sort of half wall situation. We wanted to keep the bedroom loft feeling nice and airy, kind of like the rest of the house. So we didn't want to build a full wall and block it off from everything else. So with the storage in mind, it keeps it open. I've put some more plants up here to kind of create a little bit of privacy from the rest of the house, but it doesn't feel claustrophobic at all. But we also keep a fan and jewelry box up here just to have access to all of that. So the skylights were a must-have for us in the house. Again, in addition to the big one in the great room, we have the two just above each of our heads, which we absolutely love. We get to go to bed every night looking at the stars, and we've actually spent several nights intentionally stargazing from the comfort of our own bed. I find that it's not really an issue, you know, in the mornings or anything like that, and with sunrises and all that. It's actually the side windows where we get more of the light. So at 5:30 in the morning, it comes blaring in one side rather than the skylight. But that can easily be fixed when we finally get some window treatments.
So this is the exterior of our house. We went with originally some Shugi Bond siding. But because of where we were parked, it turned into more of being sandblasted and just wiped away really quick. So we've since restained it. It gives us this really nice old rustic barn look. Kind of the original look we wanted, just not the way we wanted it to happen. But I love it. It came out really well, real pretty. It contrasts really nice with that copper roof. That roof is actually not copper. That is recycled aircraft aluminum. It is meant to look like aged copper in copper slate tires. My entire roof weighs roughly 150 pounds. And those are nice, wonderful snow guards up there. They do an excellent job of breaking up that snow because it is such a steep pitch from knocking us out in the giant snow clumps. It works so well that I actually got to get up there and beat it off with a stick, or it just keeps dripping on us for days. And that roof is actually extremely durable. Because we live in Colorado, we knew we needed something lightweight and durable. That's actually a hail-proof roof. It's the one thing we contracted out. I paid someone to install that roof. Extremely pricey, but well worth it in the long run. It's a one-time investment. So, as we work our way down, we have our wonderful barrel sign with our name. So nice thing about this sign here, it's still a work in progress, but because we were a DIY build, we wanted everyone who helped us build the house leave a little token of memory. And that's what this is. So everybody who's helped us build has autographed it. And then we're going through and wood burning them, and then I'll seal it all up. This was actually the old barrel wine cap for the barrel and the slats in the wall. And kind of one of those personal touches I really enjoy. All right, so this is my wonderful invention. I love sitting in hammocks. Like Erica said earlier, we have two spots inside to sit in the hammock, but I wanted to sit in a hammock outside. And I can't always find a good tree. So I did some research and I found something similar, but they wanted way too much money. And I happen to work for Trailer Made Trailers now. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna build one. So I did. I built a bracket that mounted to the house with a trailer receiver hitch, so it can slide in and out as we need to, go camping, take it with us, throw it on the Subaru. The poles come out for collapsing. It's got a step or a table, whatever you may need to use it for, and two little cup holders. And I actually spend a lot of time in that hammock. And then, so as we're doing the siding, switching gears here, we wanted to go with metal and a wood hybrid. You see a lot of tiny houses where they do one or the other, or a mix of them, but nothing quite like what we did. We wanted to break up the lines. So on this side of the house, you got a nice 45, splitting it up with the vertical and horizontal wood and metal. It just really changes the look, and we ended up liking how it looks. We received this guy here. His name is Nomer. Nomer, meet the word. He is a solar-powered butt gnome. So what that is, he's got a little solar panel on his back, and his butt glows when the sun sets. So you can't see it even if you did. And it was amazing. I got him as a white elephant gift this last Christmas for when I worked for Colorado Cider. I loved it. I was like, oh, he's amazing. So we had him for a bit, and we were talking to a friend, and she goes, oh, I have to tell my friend. She found his wife, Fanny, meet the word. For some reason, she's the only one in a thong. I don't know why. But they just live with us. They travel around. We took Noma to Scotland, and he went and visited a few places with us in the castles we traveled. Just kind of a fun little thing I do with him now. He is solar-powered butt gnome on Instagram, and you can follow his travels there. So, you got the metal siding. We work our way around. We have some bike storage. So, we've had bikes, and we loved them, but there was no garage. Tiny houses don't typically have a garage or a place to store your bike somewhere nice. So we went with these sweet vertical options. They're kind of a pain to lift in and out at the moment. The next stage, these were a recent addition. The next thing is a pulley at the top so that it's easier to lift up and down. Can one-man job. Right now it's a two-man job to lift it up and down. But they work really well, keep it on a side. And then they can fold side to side, whatever we need to do. We have our water intakes to the house. So this is for our fresh water on a hose city system. And if we need to, we also happen to have 42-gallon water tank on board, and it has a gravity fill right here. This is our propane. We have a 2 20-pound propane tanks, so very handy to have. Keeps them stored out of the way, and everything's good to go. And then this is my man cave, which you'll see in a moment. So when you build a house, you have things. You have water tanks, you have water pumps, stuff like that that needs to go somewhere. So I built a garage to house all of that. So inside our garage, I have my tools. We have a water tank, water heater, and then the keg storage for the tap inside is stored here to the right. And it also acts as a beer cellar. So I've cellared some beers in there. It's insulated on all 6 sides, and it holds its temperature really well if you happen to throw some ice in there or something like that. And then that's the access hatch from the bathroom. That way we can access the emergency panel if we need to for fuses or grab a tool or anything like that. I can also lock and unlock the door and flip light switches if I need to for it. I really love this garage. And I have all exposed plumbing. One of the things, I went to school for it. I kind of like how exposed plumbing looks. It's easier to maintain, easier to manage. If something goes wrong, it's all right there. I don't need to rip anything up to get to it. So, and then we have power going into the house. Nice, wonderful corners. So, all right, and that's my garage. So this door here is similar to the door on the other side. It was a Naughty Auto door. Originally looked like this. It was beautiful. It was the Shosugi bond. Looked great. But like the rest of the siding, it became sandblasted. So I took a sander to it and a brush and then restained it. And just kind of keep it's kind of upgrading as we go along, making things work, dealing with the cards I was dealt to fix it up. So,
thank you so much for touring our home with us. We appreciate you taking the time. Please be sure to follow us on Instagram at das_kleine_house, and also on our blog, which I sometimes update, daskleinehouse.tumblr.com. Please also make sure to check out Trailer Made Custom Trailers, where we both work. We really trust their work. They make a tiny house foundation. It's not just a trailer for your home.